Welcome everyone to today's webinar, Workforce Trends Shaping 2022, How You Can Prepare, presented by CSS Workforce New York. Many thanks to our presenters, Kelly Christopher and Christian Harris, for being with us today, and to all the participants who have joined in, and to our educational series sponsor, Shamanka Nail Trust Company. Please note this webinar is being recorded to share what we learn with the business community. All attendees will receive the link to the recording. Kelly and Christian will share their presentations with you, then follow with time for questions and discussion. Please use the chat to submit any questions during the presentation. Just a reminder, when others are speaking, please keep your audio on mute to minimize background noise. With that said, I'll turn it over to Christian to start things off.
Unmuted. I'm not going to make that mistake again. I will, but not this time. All right, so sharing my screen. Okay, quick introduction. My name is Christian Harris. I work with the New York, or for the New York State Department of Labor, more specifically Division of Research and Statistics. I'm a labor market analyst covering the southern tier region of New York. So labor market analyst, basically economist, if that helps. I do focus more on labor market, on the labor market within the southern tier. My division's description of the southern tier comes as far west as Steuben County, across the 3 metro areas and the Pennsylvania border of Elmira, Chemung, Ithaca, Binghamton, and I go as far east as Delaware. So I do have a 8-county catchment that I cover and focus on. So with that, we'll jump right into the statistics that my division covers and some other important topics for all of us right now. So can we see my presentation? We are your DOL. Okay, well, let's move. First, we'll take a look at our private sector job journey. This is a broad look. So this is the national private sector job journey through our shared COVID experience. As you can see, dramatic decline in jobs during our period of pause. Between February and April, we lost a shocking amount of jobs, not lost. Most were just sidelined as we were trying to deal with the pandemic. Since then, we've seen our upward climb, which honestly, it looks slow, but it has been pretty good. It wasn't the dramatic V shape that we were all hoping for, but we've been coming up and up and up as far as private sector jobs. Right now, at the national level, 93% of those jobs lost have been retained. So that's just not specific jobs, but matching the total amount of jobs that were out there before and that are there now. So if we keep moving along this path, it's likely that we'll get to that pre-recession or pre-COVID level by the end of this year. Obviously, there's a lot of moving parts right now. Inflation, how the Fed's going to be dealing with inflation, our supply issues out there, and then our labor market, labor force problems as far as not having enough workers available out there. So a lot of moving parts, a lot of stuff that people out there are dealing with. So moving from the national view or the national look, we'll take a look more specifically at the state. Similar shape, similar journey. Probably the notable piece here is that we're only at the state level, we're only 76% as opposed to 92%. But we are moving in the right direction. We are absolutely seeing a thawing here. Tons of job openings out there, as many of you are probably well aware and are offering. People are creeping slowly back into the labor market, taking these jobs and filling their role to help consumers get the goods that they want or services that they need. This is a little wonky compared to those two. This is our local view. Since we don't have seasonally adjusted figures, this is going to look a little bit more swirly, up and downs. This is over a longer term for us. So this is all the way back to 1990, not just the view of during COVID. But you can see towards the right half or the right side of the graph, our downward slide due to COVID and our slow creep up post COVID. Well, whatever this is right now that we're in. So we are moving in the same positive direction. We're well short of what we were pre-pandemic. As you can see, we were floating around the between 30,000, 31,000 jobs, private sector jobs in Chemung County. And now we're getting up through 28,000 at this moment. So we've got a ways to go. We are at 93% of what we were before COVID hit and all the things happened within our labor market. So moving in the same positive direction, a little bit further behind the curve if we were looking at the national and statewide. So this is that job journey broken out by industry category. So the red bars represent where we were hit the hardest. Education and health services was the hardest hit for us in Chemung County. The subcomponent of healthcare is the bigger of the pieces that were affected. Epicenter of all of a lot of what was going on with COVID. Obviously, a lot of stuff was backburnered as far as non-essential health-related stuff. While the healthcare groups were dealing with COVID specifically, people were more reluctant to jump into that industry, which isn't good because that was one that was challenged before all of this dramatically. We weren't having enough individuals gravitating towards healthcare. Obviously, if that's where everyone who's getting sick was going with this very virus that was spreading quickly, people would be even more reluctant to move that way. So that's something that needs to be dealt with and managed. A comfort level has to be regained by individuals that this not only is beneficial in that you're going to have a job and you're going to have it all over the long run, that it pays very well, that you can carve out a really good living in life, but it's a safe, that steps are made, things are being managed and mitigated as best as possible. The next one is leisure and hospitality. That shouldn't be too surprising here, as many of those places weren't visited. Events were canceled, all sorts. We know that leisure and hospitality was hit very hard by this downturn. The next is government. Government did take quite a hit. We do have some money flowing through our local governments that are helping us try to manage this workforce loss. But as all industries know, everybody's being challenged right now as far as gaining employees. And then you can go down the line on that left-hand side. The two top ones, or three top ones, would be our health services, leisure and hospitality, and government. On the right-hand side is where we've come since. As you can see, short of, which we described in our total private sector graph, the largest gainers and the ones that are really visible right now is that leisure and hospitality line. A lot of that stuff's coming back online, which is good. And then we have people gravitating back to it, which is good. Still short of where we need to be. That's known, and that's the challenge out there. Manufacturing did lose some, but looks like they gained more than they lost over that specific period. We have challenges within that industry sector in general. Long-term losses over decades due to international pressures. But that is a notable piece there. We can see during these specific time periods that manufacturing is actually above where they were back in February 2020. So moving on to our next slide here. So that was a look at payroll information. So that's from the businesses within Chemung County. Now we want to look at individuals living within the county. So not necessarily working within the county, but obviously important to the county because they spend and they live and spend within the confines of the county. So this is a statewide look of our unemployment rate. an inverse of what we saw with private sector jobs, but that's the way we want it with this. We want a low, instead of a high job number, we want a low unemployment rate. So this specific statistics looks at employed residents and then residents without a job that are actively seeking. So that is important to note, that it does not count those individuals that aren't actively seeking during this reference period, during these reference periods over the years that we're looking at. So this specifically shows a really good movement. As far as those participating in the labor market, they're finding very good success in securing employment. A 4.9% unemployment rate means that a little over 95% of people in the labor market are working. So that's another way to look at it. Now, this is our movement in Chemung County. More dramatic in impact during the worst part of COVID, 18.5% unemployment rate at that time. But we are moving in the same direction within the statistics, which is defined by the way I explained it. Again, this is not seasonally adjusted, so you'll see some bumps up around January, February time periods. In fact, right now we're in February, which is when construction and leisure and hospitality are kind of offline. So we've got some seasonal displacement, but most of those individuals know that when it warms up again, they'll re-engage and then be involved within those industry categories. But the total journey is good. Unemployment rate is solid, but again, that look outside there as our pool of workers is smaller. As you can see, we're about 5.2% short as far as our total pool of workers. So that's a concern when we have so many job openings out there, and a need for these people to re-engage or for us to attract from outside the community in. So let's get to some themes or some struggles out there. Some things that we're seeing. Many of you have been hearing about this great retirement. This is a look at the quits rate nationally over time. Actually, wait a second. I'm getting ahead of myself. So this is a look at the number of job openings out there stacked against the unemployed count. And obviously, we're outstripping the individuals out there available as far as defining themselves as unemployed. Our number of opportunities out there. And this definitely comes down. This is a look at the state. This definitely comes down to the local level. More openings than we have individuals to fill those openings. So now this is the quits rate. This is the churn. This is the thing that even complicates and frustrates many of us out there. Still elevated. Many people are separating with their jobs. A good number of these people are just finding other opportunities. Better, we'll see over the long run. They're chasing the money. We're all competing for the same pool, similar pool. So people are going out, chasing the money, chasing the flexibility within their job, chasing a different path, maybe entirely from where they're at. Many decisions are being made, and it is paying off. If we look at statistics of those people that are moving over to other jobs as opposed to sitting there, they are making more money. Inflation is pulling everything down, unfortunately. Even those job jumpers moving to other opportunities are struggling in the face of all costs moving upwards right now. So this is a breakout from Pew Research. They canvassed individuals out there that were quitting their job, moving to other opportunities, or just stopping. And these, we see a breakout by major and minor reasons. The biggest one is pay, chasing that higher payday. And that's not too surprising as human beings. Obviously, we want to get paid a premium so that we can feel more comfortable. As an employer, that's tough when you may be chasing a job that you may not be a perfect fit for, or that you may not succeed in, or it isn't any better than where you're at. So another thing is a clear path for advancement. That was identified by the people. They didn't feel that their employer was giving them or wasn't shown to them, or maybe it just didn't exist. that they could advance and get to someplace higher. Basically, the third thing there is just felt disrespected. So I know it's tough running a business or keeping a business moving forward to take the time with each individual employee to find out where they're at and address any needs if possible. But that is a necessity right here and now. It's a job seekers market. This is what we need to do. We need to stop the leaks first and then start working on bringing in more individuals to fill the need. So I know many of you have already thought about this and addressed it, but this is expressed by people out there and gleaned by Pew Research. Child care, elder care keeps popping up. You'll see that in the future slides that I take a look. So our other pieces here, I don't want to go through everything, but those top three or four are ones that we do see over and over again. So another piece, this is kind of an extension of that one elder care, daycare piece. Not enough workers out there. So this is a layered piece here. Daycare establishments as employers are struggling just the same, but obviously a person can't work in another setting, it may even be daycare, if they don't feel comfortable with their child's situation or elder person within their household situation. So this is just displaying that a little bit further here. And as you can see, it's an issue. I know the state was talking about this pre-pandemic as worker shortages were a big conversation then. I think there's still, in fact, I saw a budgetary headline today about childcare being tucked into there, some sort of way to address that shortcoming. But it really does need to be pushed at the local level. Employers bonding together to try to fund some sort of institution or option for these people to feel safe and comfortable with their child care needs. So another piece here, this one takes a look at those individuals that are looking at work from home type opportunities. So this is something that we're all addressing, both those that are able to offer and those that are not. Obviously, it's a conversation that we're going to have. Those industries that just can't offer it because it's not possible, you're still going to get these questions. So I know it's frustrating. So if some component or some piece of the job can be offered remotely so that it isn't taking up more of their time, obviously people are looking for that flexibility. That should be looked at. Another big thing here is that females are asking for this more so than males. And on top of that, females are the ones that we're not seeing come back as quickly as the males into the labor market. So obviously, this is something that you need to be thoughtful about and try to address as best you can, if you can. We actually, my division pulled information from another research group here. This is a Harvard Business School and Accenture. Tried to get a handle on why people weren't engaging. A couple pieces that they pulled up. One was the automated front-facing application accepting software system. So most businesses, it used to be just large, but I think they make offerings for small companies too. It's grueling to go over every single resume, especially if someone's not even close to a perfect fit or even close to a fit period in your organization. So we've used these systems to pull in your information. You do your application there and you submit your resume. They use their artificial intelligence to screen out the ones that are impossible and move them out of the way. Obviously, that needs to be looked at a little bit more deeply. We don't need to lower our expectations. We need to loosen our expectations a little bit, not be as firm in our filters of individuals. So open up that flow, that river a little bit more than it was and make sure that it is a friendly and easy to use process, or we're going to have some issues. And this is a greater look at that and more specific about it, removing negative parameters it talks about here, and being very specific out there and trying to loosen up what you normally had during a normal or employer when you have tons of applicants out there and not a whole lot of jobs, that other way, whereas now we've got a lot of jobs and very little applicants. So that's something that they suggested that you take a look at. Another one is training. So again, when there's tons of job seekers, not a whole lot of jobs, people are out there trying to get their skills to match the opportunities out there as best they can. Now, training providers are still out there, and Kelly's going to talk to you about great opportunities that are available out there to offset the funding related to that. So, but some of that work needs to be, some of that legwork needs to be done by the employers themselves now. That needs to be taken on. I know it's a tough ask. On top of raising your salaries, you need to spend more time with these individuals to recruit them, and potentially spend more money on these individuals to get them to be that better fit within your organization. But it's just the way it has to be right now, unfortunately. So many people get very distracted and push away from job opportunities if they do have these firm bachelor's degree, associate's degree, higher requirements in there. So loosening that up kind of dovetails with what I was just talking about. Telling them that you don't need to be a perfect fit here. We'll get you there as long as you have these core things that we need, experience-wise, or just a work ethic that's been displayed or conveyed to them in a way that makes them want to take a chance with these individuals. So training is another piece here. Many people have been discouraged by certain opportunities, or don't gravitate towards them because they feel that they're just not there and they can't be there. We had a great conversation about technology. We had an employer say, do we need to just move away from that for now? And I was weary of suggesting that, because as soon as you're in the workplace, technology is everywhere. But that might be a piece that can be trained using funding from Workforce New York. Again, this kind of reiterates what we said about relooking at your process as far as internally, moving individuals within your company somewhere higher, or attracting outside, making sure you're a hospitable and thoughtful employer so that they can see, workplace culture is very important, and potential employees can be choosy right now because there are so many opportunities out there. So another piece I want to take a look at quickly here is we talked about these quits, moving a little further into those quits. Some people are quitting and not coming back. The red line in this graph here is where we were tracking retirements at the national level. The blue line is what happened during COVID. Huge jump in retirements. People felt comfortable because the stock market wasn't as weird right as it is now. COVID was big and in your face, and the older age set might be a little bit more susceptible. People just didn't feel comfortable enough that they could move out of the labor force, move out of their current job. So that's a big issue. Obviously, our labor pool is shrinking. Normally, we've got these people coming back to some degree, either re-careering, touching their toe in somewhere. Consultation here, part-time gig. We definitely saw a lot less of that. We're getting a little bit more, but we're still short of what we normally see as rotations back in some degree, participating in some way. So this is a set that we need to be also aware of in our ranks. So making sure they're happy and content and can stay over whatever period of time you imagine is they're most needed. Or engage, step them down into retirement, offer them as best you can, saying, okay, I understand. How about we give you 4 days a week, 3 days a week, just stay with us and we'll ease you into it. So SHRM has, AARP and SHRM got together, took a look at this specifically, and this is before all this happened, but it's still relevant now. So they looked at 2012. Because as the boomers are moving through, this is something that we've been dealing with and will continue to deal with in the next 5 to 10 years. And they're looking for things that are very similar to what we're hearing from all the other groups that we're trying to court, regardless of age or background. So competitive benefits, there's the pay thing, flexible work arrangements. Big surprise. Like I said, this was in 2012. So it definitely relates still. And you see how the businesses are responding here. There's a consultations and temporary workers, reduced hours, flexible scheduling, and then phased retirements. Attractions here, still those core things. But again, it's softening, loosening, understanding out there who you're dealing with, who you're trying to attract, trying to get away those caustic words that might be a deterrent for an older worker. And trying to make them understand the value of that specific set of worker within your organization. So that's it for me. I don't know if we want to do questions now or wait to the end. I haven't even looked at the chat yet.
I didn't see anything come through on the chat, but we can do questions if anybody had any questions specifically for Christian. Oh, all right. We'll move on to Kelly.
Can everybody see my slide pad? And can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, that's all I'm checking. I'm one of those people that sometimes just get started and I'm not even noticing that nobody can hear me. Like Christian, we have to make sure we unmute. So I'm Kelly Christopher. I'm the Senior Business Partner with Chemung Scottish to Ben Workforce New York. I work specifically with businesses in those 3 counties to assist them with services. And let me go to my first slide. So today I'm coming in just to let you know what CSS Workforce New York is and share with you some recruitment ideas and some retention ideas. I'm so excited to be here. It's an honor to participate with Christian Harris. He's probably one of the few statisticians that I can say is very relatable and actionable in the delivery of the information that he provides. So I appreciate being able to follow him up because I'm not necessarily a statistician, but I do read a lot. So what is CSS Workforce New York? I said, well, we're a nonprofit 501c3 with a board of directors with representatives from both the private and the public sectors. We're dedicated to assisting individuals with greater employment opportunities and to helping them develop the skills to provide an adequate labor pool. And we actually have 2 customers. One is the businesses and the other is the job seeker. So for businesses, we offer 3 different categories of activities or services. And like I said before, they are all free to businesses. So we'll work with businesses who want to upskill their workers, their incumbent workers. We provide customized training funding, and that funding could be applied to MS Excel courses, management training, active shooter training, point of sale training, or any other industry specific training for new machinery or equipment. We would reimburse 50% of the cost of the training per eligible individual if you connect with me prior to the start of that training. We also offer on-the-job training funding. So say you find someone that has the perfect work ethic, you think you'd really enjoy working with them, they have great energy, but they really are lacking some of the skills that are necessary to perform successfully within the role that you may be hiring them for. We can help by reimbursing 50% of that trainee's wages during that identified training period for up to $2,000. So it's an opportunity to bring someone on board that you really have faith maybe doing a really good job if you could just give them a few more skills, train them yourself, and then receive a reimbursement for the period of time that they may not have been productive as productive as you would have liked when they started. And we also offer HR resources. So our labor market information is directly produced by Christian Harris. He is amazing. If I reach out to him, he produces information almost immediately. That rarely happens in my world. So I'm so excited to say that, if you ever need to do some wage analysis, we certainly can reach out to Christian for you, or you can reach out to Christian yourself and he can provide that. We also connect businesses with tax incentive documents so they can make sure that they're getting all the tax credits they deserve from their new hires. And we provide support services for businesses who right size. So if there's a rapid response to a downsizing of a company, we go in and we help attach or reattach workers to the workforce. But I will say, since COVID, I've probably spent most of my time in talent attraction and recruitment. We offer free job postings through the New York State Department of Labor's Job Bank. Our team provides match and refer, so we will actually take that job posting and the skills that are attached to it, and we match it within our database, which is the unemployment database. You don't just have to be unemployed to be in our system. You can just be an active job seeker or somebody who has been to one of our career centers and wants to know more about job opportunities in the area. But we match it to the skill sets and we send direct emails to those individuals' accounts to let them know about that opportunity. And once again, wage analysis is always available if you're struggling to fill a particular role. But we also offer services to job seekers. And that's what gives us some unique ideas about what job seekers are looking for, because we talk to them directly. We have 4 career centers, one in Elmira, one in Bath, Hornell, and Munter Falls. In those career centers, they have access to free computers and internet and assistance with applying online, getting through those applicant tracking systems. We have employment counselors that will work with them on their resumes and interviewing skills. We offer workshops. Some of the workshops are listed here in your slide, but we also offer training funding for on-demand occupations. So we would pay a majority to all of the training costs and some supportive services to prepare job seekers for skilled employment and increase self-sufficiency. It's an excellent opportunity for someone who's been told 100 times they just have customer service skills to gain a skill that is marketable in our area. But probably one of the best things that we have going for us since COVID, because we were unable to meet with job seekers in person or in our career centers, we worked diligently to develop a strong and engaged social media following. We utilize Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn to post jobs. So anybody who posts a job through our website, the Hot Jobs portal, we will actually roll that over and post to our social media sites. We post workforce engagement articles and special program information, anything that we have that's offering assistance to job seekers. Right now, we have Tommy Hilfiger gift cards for interview clothing. And we also post recruitment information. So any event that's happening, if we receive a flyer from a business, we're happy to push that out and let our job seekers know that that event's available. But one of the unintended consequences of social media is that we also get insight into corporate and business culture. We know how employees are feeling about their wages, their corporate culture, and returning to the workforce. Through those comments and by my experience as a business owner, as an employment counselor, as a job seeker, and through a lot of research, I've kind of put together a few ideas about recruitment and retention. Now, I understand that some of you may work within your business, some of these ideas may work within your business structure, but some may not. It's very hard for a manufacturing facility to offer flexible hours or remote work. But what I'm hoping is that the ideas will spark a discussion that will help your team discover ways to recruit and retain workers for your future success. So what's one of the first things that you can do to improve your recruiting? Specifically, if you have a position you have a hard time filling because you can't find a person with a skill set, well, offer training. Offer free training in the job posting. Offer to develop them, invest in their growth. Some people are just waiting for someone to give them a chance, to believe in their potential. I spent 24 years as a retail flower shop owner. Floral skills are not something that is typically available in the workforce. I would meet some great applicants, but almost all new hires would need to be trained. So Workforce New York has OJT funding available to bridge the knowledge gap of a new hire. Like I said before, 50% reimbursement of their wages during their identified training period. We reimburse your business for the time and knowledge expended training your new hire to perform more successfully in their position. Another way to improve your recruitment is to improve your referrals or your referral process. Offer incentives to current employees by referring family and friends. They can be monetary or non-monetary incentives. Recruit students, capitalize on your relationships with high schools, secondary schools, training providers. Attend career fairs, talk about what your people do so people understand what happens in that building they see on the side of the road as they're driving down 86. I'm lucky as a business services provider. I'm able to view and walk through a lot of businesses, but many people don't know what happens in those businesses. So how do you recruit when people don't know what you really do? Participate in pre-graduation mailings. So you can send out flyers about your positions, what skills are needed, and what type of training would make somebody qualified for work in your business. Help them become familiar with your company. Some people just don't know what's out there. They just see the big four in the area. They don't see all the other folks that have excellent opportunities. And another way to do that or to connect with those folks is to teach a class in a community college or for continuing education. So you can connect with that talent as it emerges with the skill set that you're looking for. And in some ways, you're training them to do your job. Some businesses locally have partnered with downsizing companies. So keep an eye on companies who have employees that may have skills that are transferable to your industry. I worked with one specific employer that was kind of watching a business that was struggling when they were going to lay off a section of their workers on Friday. He decided that he would connect with that business and pick up those same workers on Monday. So they became dislocated on Friday, but on Monday they had a job. You can also create job alerts. Allow interested candidates to sign up to receive an email when the jobs that you have are opening up. Because what's better than connecting with someone who's already interested in working in your place of business? And something that I did when I was a retail florist is I created what I called recruitment cards. They were a business card that had my business information on one side, but the other side said, if you ever find yourself unemployed or looking for a new opportunity, reach out to me. I'd be happy to have that conversation with you. When I went out to dinner and I saw someone providing excellent customer service, and I really enjoyed their energy and I enjoyed spending time with them, I would leave that card with my tip. If I went through a line at the grocery store and I found someone who was treating everybody amazingly, I would leave that card with them. So it was an opportunity not to poach people, but to make them feel valued and make them understand that the service they were providing to me was valuable to somebody else as well. So the next recruitment idea is to simplify your job posting. And I think you have heard almost all I was going to say about that from Christian. But review the accuracy of your job posting on a regular basis. Do a keyword review. Are you eliminating someone that could possibly be qualified in your applicant tracking system? I usually say emphasize the skills and the abilities needed over a massive list of job duties and responsibilities. You can talk about them if you're interested in somebody during the interview. But when a job posting gets to be 2 or 3 pages long, people stop reading. Simplify your application process. I once was on a review board for a particular position. The person had a virtual interview, then they had an in-person interview, then they had to perform a project before they made a decision. And the unfortunate part of that process is the person they decided to hire or wanted to hire had already taken another position by the time they got to offering the job. So be careful, because a lengthy process, you may lose your best candidates. Review your interview process. Don't just reiterate the job posting. I went to an interview once where I was not asked one question in the first 45 minutes. They just told me what all the duties and responsibilities were. And then I finally asked them, I said, do you want to know anything about me, or is there any questions you'd like to ask? And the woman said, can you doodle? Well, being a retail florist for 24 years, I was thinking, well, I guess I can doodle if that means drawing a picture, but I'm pretty sure she means something else. So I replied with, I think I can do anything that's asked of me. And at that point, I realized I didn't want that job. So I walked out of that room, and whether they asked me for the job or not, I really didn't want it. So be careful that your interviewing process is asking open-ended questions and you're getting information from that person and you're making them engaged with you as the interviewer. Optimize your career page. They can't find the posting, they can't apply. I can't tell you how many times I've heard from people that I haven't got any applicants for this position that I opened up 2 weeks ago, and I can't find the job posting anywhere. And I'm pretty good at finding job postings because that's the nature of my job. And also encourage applications at any time. Be proactive rather than reactive. Collect a spreadsheet of possibilities with contact information. So if you do have an opening, you can just reach out to them quickly and just fire off that job posting to them and see if they're still interested, see if they're still looking. And finally, in this category, it's boost your brand awareness. When searching for new employees, be sure you cast a wide enough net. Don't rely solely on your website, your local newspaper, or only your Facebook page. Use as many job search platforms as possible. I always recommend using Indeed.com, and even more so now because Three Rivers Development Corporation has created a website called Southern Finger Lakes. It's SOFLX.com, which is a recruitment platform, really. It talks about all the amazing things about this Finger Lakes area, but it also has a job aggregator that is fired through Indeed.com. So if your job is on Indeed.com and somebody's coming into this area from someplace else, and they're looking at that website, they can find your position if it's in Indeed.com. I think that's a wonderful possibility for businesses. Target your audiences. Share flyers with your local workforce development agencies or locations where employees gather. So if you have a position and you're looking for a specific kind of person, think about where that person would gather and put some flyers out there or put some information out there. Highlight your employees. People want to work for a company that makes them feel valued. Individuals would rather be valued than be replaceable resources. So sometimes an employee highlight reel on your Facebook page or on a social media or TikTok would get somebody's attention and make them wonder more about your company. And with that, I say brag about your corporate culture, post pictures of your team at community events, make engagement posts, Facebook Live, TikTok videos. Instant Brands is doing a TikTok video on their plates right now. Blog and be seen as an industry expert. Let people know that it's a great place to work. And here's the caveat to that, is if you can't do that, start working on making it a great place to work. Because social media is a great place for gathering feedback. The most common comment I receive on job postings is the wages are not commensurate with skills required in the list of responsibilities. And I can tell you they don't say it that nicely. But it kind of reminds me of a picture I saw the other day about a welder who went on an interview. And during the interview, the company asked him to display his abilities. He did 2 welds. One was kind of rough and interesting, but it was sufficient. The other was straight, uniform, with no slag, no cracking, no holes. It was a beautiful weld. And the employer asked him, what is this? I asked you just to weld. He says, well, that weld's an $18 an hour weld. This weld is a $25 an hour weld. Which employee do you want to show up? So sometimes we have to pay attention to the wages that we're offering for the skill sets that we're looking to develop. So here's some additional recruitment ideas. Make your application process different and fun. I went on a website the other day to look at a career portal, and a little chat pop-up happened to ask me, my interest in what positions I was interested in and what skill sets I had, and to help me match with something that might fit my needs. I thought that was pretty cool. Make a recruitment video to put on your website so people can see the business and see what's inside. Connect with your local real estate office because they know when new talent is moving into the area. And we've talked a lot about traveling spouses in the past. Those folks have talent too, and they may want employment as well. You can also host a virtual recruitment and market that outside of your geographical region. So you might be able to pull someone that wants to move into town for that position. Participate in career fair days with interactive tables. I went to Finger Lakes Works with Their Hands, and a local electronics repairing company had an actual game on their table where there was a start and stop button. They had directions and they had all the pieces that were required to be put together by these directions. And they had the students literally start the button, assemble, and stop. And they kept a leaderboard all day long of who had done that the quickest and the most efficient and had done the best job. You can't tell me that they weren't recruiting for students with the skills and aptitudes that they were looking for. You recruit from unique populations. You can also connect with employment counselors who work with differently abled individuals, veterans, those who've been justice involved, and dislocated workers. So don't be afraid to reach out to different companies that already work with unemployed people. And attend networking events. I think that's a given for this group since you're a member of a chamber. But any kind of clubs, chat rooms, industry membership groups to connect with people from similar interests. So now I hope I've kind of fired you up about recruitment ideas. It is time to discuss retention. Because recruitment and retention should never be discussed separately. And I think that Christian kind of pointed that out today, is that we have less and less people available for more and more jobs. So if you get someone in place, it's very important to keep them, because finding that next person is difficult. I perform match and refer. I've already talked about that, to connect unemployed individuals to jobs that they are qualified to perform. Very often, about 25% of the people the system pulls out have already worked in that position at that employer. So we have limited human capital in our area. We can't afford to have those who have the skill we're looking for not be able or interested in going back to work for us. If your business doesn't focus on retention, you're always going to be focusing on recruitment. Isn't this a much better image of what a workplace should be like? And I will tell you, this picture could be the HR manager with the floor manager saying, finally, we've got one, we're both working hard to keep them. But it should also be what your workers will like internally. Finally, I got a great job, I love this job, and I'm going to stay. So let's talk about a little bit about how to make that happen. So we've talked about wage analysis. Christian already approached the issue that impacts most workers in this discussion of the Pew study of the top reasons why US workers left a job in 2021. The pay was too low. So if you're struggling to keep people in a particular position, ask Christian for a regional wage analysis. Make sure you consider what other employers are offering for the same skill set. If you have additional benefits like health insurance, vacation, holidays, floating holidays, employee assistance programs, matching 401k, flexible work hours, or educational grants, make sure you highlight the fiscal benefit to your workers. So they understand it's not just about the $15 an hour, the $18 an hour, the $25 an hour. It's about what else is attached to that offering. Another retention idea is offer training. Like we said, just as training and development are important to recruit new employees, it is also important to retain them. If employees aren't getting the growth and development they want, they will seek it at other companies. Don't let your workforce get bored or have obsolete skills. So according to a LinkedIn annual workplace learning report, 94% of employees would stay longer if their company invested in their professional development. Curious people make better employees. They're more engaged, they're sharper, and they're ready for a challenge. And through our customized training funding, CSS Workforce New York can provide a reimbursement of up to 50% of the cost of that training. So moving on to the biggest elephant in the room, flexible work, or providing a better work-life balance. COVID taught us that in some roles, we can work effectively and efficiently from home. Many people increased their virtual platform knowledge and computer skills exponentially during the last 2 years. And as businesses have opened up, and many are still working a hybrid work schedule, balancing coming into the office with working from home. Is it possible to allow some positions to continue a hybrid structure? Are some people more productive with less interruptions, less workplace drama, and a better work-life balance? It's something to consider as we move forward with retention challenges. We know it's hard. We know it's not possible in some environments, but it's always something to consider. So another retention idea, it has to do with company culture. And this is what I see mostly on Facebook, is how people talk about employers. So you need to connect people to purpose. Hire based on your company's values, not just to fill a slot. because that one person that you hire that really doesn't want to be there to fill a slot will make life difficult for other folks who are there that enjoy their work. So encourage frequent employee recognition, team recognition based on their performance at different tasks. Schedule regular and meaningful one-on-ones to check in, to open up communication and trust with your workers. You know, if they're sharing with you that they have a challenge, give them an opportunity to voice that challenge before it becomes an issue in their retention. We encourage team building and bonding activities and events. Some businesses participate in Habitat for Humanity. CSS Workforce New York did Wreaths Across America one year, and when I worked for ProAction, we participated in the Community Service Day, where we would go out to a nonprofit agency and do some free manpower work for them. Sometimes it was cleaning out an area, cleaning out a flower bed, whatever it was an opportunity for us to bond and provide service. But also offers zero tolerance policies for diversity, inclusion, and equity. Need to set an example of a diverse, open, and accepting workplace. And just when you thought I was done, I have a few additional ideas. Create a positive onboarding experience. According to SHRM, 76% of companies aren't onboarding their new hires properly. Remember that the interview was your first impression. Theirs is found with the onboarding process. So make sure their first few weeks are less stressful by having what they need to perform successfully available from day one. Do they need a computer? Do they need a cell phone? Do they need a training plan? Have they been introduced to their teamwork, their team? Do they have a dedicated workspace? Make it welcoming. Celebrate your new arrival. When I came onto CSS Workforce New York, there's a big welcome banner over my desk with glitter everywhere. Yes, it was hard to clean up, but it was kind of fun that first day. And according to Gallup, 65% of people feel unappreciated at their jobs. So express gratitude. The workplace comes in last in the list of places people express gratitude. Yet many of us spend 8 to 12 hours a day in that environment. A simple thank you for coming in today can sometimes make a world of difference. So monitor your turnover to identify risks. Act on employees' concerns. Pay attention and determine the source of the discomfort. If it's management, invest in your staff to develop management leadership skills. Employees don't leave companies, they leave poor managers. And a bad manager can take a good staff and destroy it, causing the best employees to flee and the remainder to lose all motivation. So check in with your employees. Are they overworked, overwhelmed? Survey your employees for their core needs. Determine how your company might be able to meet those needs. And finally, offer career advancement opportunities that don't necessarily have to do with climbing the ladder of management. Some businesses offer recognition by badges for performance or meeting an upskilling goal. So encourage meaningful growth within the workplace. And finally, this is something I think we all should consider. In 2018, 1 year prior to COVID starting, the Harvard Business Review reported that the research pool of American workers said they would be willing to forego 23% of their entire future lifetime earnings in order to have a job that was meaningful. So is meaning the new money? Is finding meaning what will bring people off the sidelines? And what makes work meaningful is different for everyone. It could be, status and identity, community and social connection. Is it a stimulating task? Am I allowed to grow? Am I offering a positive contribution to my community? Am I able to achieve work-life balance? What would make your work more meaningful for your employees and ultimately for yourself? So thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions for Christian or I, you can put them in the chat box or unmute yourself. I'm going to attach a final slide for your local recruitment contacts with both CSS Workforce New York and the New York State Department of Labor. Lisa and I partner to meet business needs within the Chemung, Skyline, Steuben County area, and most of the services we apply for businesses are free. So thank you.
Thank you, Kelly and Christian. And kind of going off what you said, Kelly, we do have another educational series coming up next month called Work for All, How Individuals with Disabilities Can Strengthen Your Workforce. It'll be a panel discussion with local organizations who can help increase your workforce and the benefits to that.
Excellent.
We will share the link to the recording with you later on. You can visit chemungchamber.org to register for upcoming webinars or find recordings of previous webinars. Are there any questions to come into the chat? Don't see anything in there. For anyone interested in chamber membership, please contact the chamber at info@chemungchamber.org or call 607-734-5137. Many thanks to Kelly and Christian and to everyone for joining us today. Have a great day.
Thank you.